Hi, once again, welcome to this channel. When it comes to atheism, much is said of Nietzsche. It is true that Nietzsche wrote things that could be considered blasphemous. Although the true theme of Nietzsche was the capacity of the human being in knowing the truth, much of his quest had its origins in the Kantian questions on this subject, which by its turn came from David Hume. Let us see, for instance, what Nietzsche tells us regarding our certainties when he asks whether a stone is hard. Nietzsche tells us that a stone is hard for the human being, and on this planet. It might not be hard for other beings, or elsewhere, such as inside a volcano or on the surface of the sun. Therefore, Nietzsche's concern is, if something that seems so obvious is actually a subjective impression, that is, if we cannot say with certainty that a stone is hard, how can we speak of an abstract concept like honesty? In this case, we can see that the questions on abstractions comes after the questions on tangible things. We see that what Nietzsche surveys is the ability of the human being in knowing the truth. To our common sense, this kind of concern seems strange. Take, for instance, the question of concepts such as triangles, squares and circles. Nietzsche asks us, is there any triangle that is perfectly a triangle? Is there a circle that is perfectly a circle? Or are these just mental representations, ideal constructions that our imagination relates to the sensible world? The point is, for Nietzsche, that the things that the human being regards as true are, at best, approximations and metaphors. That is, our senses capture the existence of a thing that appears to have three sides, and we call it a triangle. But if this triangle is analyzed macroscopically, it will never be a perfect triangle. Although we need to believe in the concept of the triangle for architecture, for design, and so on. It turns out that the human being needs appearances. He must believe that there are well-defined, separate, and unquestionable things in the world, such as triangles, circles, and squares. Moreover, he must believe that there are abstract things, equally unquestionable, such as honesty, virtue, and justice. Nietzsche will question all these certainties. That is, if he questions religion, it is because he, first, questions science. But if we cannot be sure of anything in the world, what did Nietzsche propose? Nietzsche understood that the human being should accept that he lives in a world of appearances, even knowing that it is a world of appearances. In this sense, Nietzsche had admiration for pre-Socratic Greece, and for the art of Greek tragedy, because, with art, the appearance gained meaning. Therefore, the Greeks were a people who knew that life was beautiful and terrible, and yet it was worth living. A brave people who did not expect life to be just beautiful, accepting life as beautiful and terrible. But they did not fail to have their meaning, their ethics, and the point was that they did not have to wait for evidence to have their ethical behavior, for the grounding of their behavior was within themselves and not in the outside world. They did not expect to have evidences of their beliefs, to have evidences of their gods, because they lived then in their daily lives. What Nietzsche teaches us is that it is part of reality to be veiled by appearance. He even criticizes the figure of the scientist, saying that he, who believes to be a destroyer of the illusions of others, needs to know that there is nothing left of his own science, in the same way that there is nothing left of triangles, circles and squares. In fact, science is effective in creating technology, but it has no way in providing meaning to the world, and this is the point in which Nietzsche was concerned. Thus, the wise old world, which valued their mores, their religion, and their myths, should be valued, where people did not need to look for evidence of the existence of Apollo or Dionysus, because it was not a matter of research, it was a matter of the meaning of the daily experience by means of their art. In this way, virtue and ethics were present in the community. According to Nietzsche, in his book The Birth of Tragedy, myth is the abbreviated image of the world, which provides the human being with a valuable representation of his life and his struggles. Without myth, culture loses its creative force, and everything that was alive, sane and strong decays. When Nietzsche goes to say that God is dead, in the aphorism 125 of his book The Gay Science, he says, God is dead, he is still dead, and we killed him. It is a diagnosis of the absence of God in the contemporary Western world, and the absence of the condensed image of the world, that is, the myth, after too much naive criticism from an equally naive intellectual standpoint. A legacy from the barbarians of criticism, as he says. We'll come back to this issue in future videos. Before finishing, I would like to invite you to visit my scholarly site, with my articles and my book. Thank you for watching and subscribe.